the settlement of $575 million will be going to the agencies that had to spend extra money on fighting those fires. So we'll see. But apparently they were being sued for their electric lines being the cause, but they came to that settlement, and that's going to be it. So from there. All right, let's take a look at Wall Street for a Monday morning. Let's see how the numbers are faring there. Thank you, Preston. It's Smart Lawn. If you're smart, you'll call him. Like Steve, he doesn't mow his lawn either.
Oh, no, I don't.
He's got rocks. Anyway, the Dow's down. Whoa, 438 points. The Nas is off 122. And the S&P down 23, almost 24 points. I think a lot of this morning is what's happening in Mexico, the instability there. The market does not like nervous things. In the meantime, gold is up over $5,214. Wow. Silver's back up to 87 bucks an ounce, and crude oil has jumped way up to $71.13 a gallon. My opinion only, if they don't get crude oil back in the 50s, the midterm could be a bath for the Republicans.
Because that means cheaper prices at the gas pump if it's down to the 50 or below. Yeah,
that's my low, no voice opinion.
It's just as valid as anyone else's.
There you go.
Well, another opinion that is worth something, because he's been a political science law professor, is Alan Dershowitz. And when he was asked on Newsmax, he talked with Greta Van Susteren about the use of tariffs as let's just say the way President Trump has been using them. He says it does fall under Article 2 of the Constitution.
Obviously, you have to go to Congress and make the argument about Congress and did they authorize this under this emergency act or Smoot-Hawley or this act or that act. It was the wrong approach. Right from the beginning, they should have made the broad constitutional argument. This is an Article 2 power. Everybody agrees that foreign policy and diplomacy and preventing wars is within the authority of the president. And we all know now that President Trump has been using tariffs in two different ways. One, obviously, to raise money for the United States. He brags about it. He boasts about how much money he made. That power he doesn't have without authorization from Congress. But the power to use tariffs to punish, to threaten, to deter, to be part of foreign policy, that's within the presidency. And so, yeah, I think that I wouldn't get angry at his lawyers. I would say, go back to the drawing board now. Give me executive authority to impose these kinds of things. You don't even have to call them a tariff. Call them whatever you want. Call them a sanction. Call them a financial penalty. Call them whatever you want. Just give me the power to use these things in order to implement policy. And we know that's being done. We know that happened with China. We know it happened in the India-Pakistan war. The president said that today. He said he stopped the war between India and Pakistan by threatening sanctions against both of them. If that's not an Article 2 power, I don't know what is. So I think the president has a better sense of this than his lawyers do.
Well, he called up Alan.
Well, that's a question.
If you remember, he did defend him during his first impeachment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I think he makes a good argument. And you know, I think we get all these terms kind of mixed up. Tariffs, sanctions, penalties, fees,
taxes,
all that stuff, taxes. You throw all those words together, I think that, you know, they're all kind of coming at us from the same viewpoint. But I guess under Article 2, he could use the term sanction. So I don't know.
Like Alan said, call it something different than a tariff, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he makes a good point. I don't know. I don't know if Wall Street's responding to the president going on with basically thumbing his nose at the Supreme Court, or if the Wall Street is responding to what's happening in Mexico. I'm kind of following the story as we're doing the news this morning, and Mexico is now basically boiling into what are we going to do with this one? There's innocent citizens now being killed in Mexico. Is Mexico becoming an Iran right underneath our nose and in our own backyard? You know, where is the president of Mexico making a national speech and stopping this? Where is the Mexican military? Where is the Mexican police? Is the cartel really running this country all the way inside and out? It appears so.
And some people have given her credit for actually having killed the cartel leader, but that's only one volley. I mean, there's far more concern in that country about corruption than just that.
By the way, you're close to the border. How is the border at your area?
Yeah, we're about 70 miles or so from the border. I would say, and when I went down for an arts and crafts show in a town that's about halfway between the border and where I live, coming back up, I had to go through a border patrol stop as they are checking cars going through, and that's just a normal thing going on there. I think it's reduced a lot since the border was strengthened by the president, but there, I think, is still a concern, especially when you have this kind of action going on in Mexico with the unrest. Anywhere along the border, I think there is going to be some sort of heightened awareness.
Yeah, interesting. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we're going to go look for some banana bread. We'll be right back.
Good.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
When plumbing emergencies hit, and they do, you want help from a plumber you can trust, and you need it now. Onnit Plumbing to the rescue. Onnit Plumbing gets the job done right with integrity and quality craftsmanship. Onnit Plumbing offers military discounts, senior discounts, and discounts for KDOV listeners too. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Onnit Plumbing, CCB 229436. No job too big or small. Onnit Plumbing does them all. See us at onnitplumbing.net. onnitplumbing.net.
What an amazing year of growth last year for theDove. You, our viewers and partners, blessed us with a new studio, a video wall to create sets for new local programming, a state-of-the-art control room, and much-needed insulation along with heating and air conditioning. Plus, you helped us renew many tower leases so we can continue to bring you theDove all across our network and a brand new full-power TV station. And from everyone here at theDove, a huge thank you. We could have never done this without you. Your prayers and support is allowing theDove to bring the gospel, encouragement, and information to millions more people needing the hope of Christ worldwide. We appreciate you standing with theDove prayerfully and financially in our mission to reach people with the good news via television, radio, and streaming online. Thank you for your continued faithful support in keeping theDove encouraging and informative 24 hours a day.
theDove TV streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at thedove.us.
Welcome back, and good morning to you. Steve Johnson joining us this morning and this week as Jerry is away. Steve is awake.
I am. Like I said, it's an hour later than where you are, so I can tell you what's happened.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. Anyway, good morning to you. A lot going on in the news. AI, I have to say, the subject of AI, artificial intelligence, was a big deal at the convention this year. And what's so surprising to me, we had 56,000 square feet of vendors and ministries displays, which is...
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was one of the biggest expos they've had at the NRB. It was just huge. And one of the things down there is everybody, their interpretation of AI. What I had to laugh about is that all of a sudden everybody's an expert about AI. And I kind of.
So what was the feel? I mean, I realize there are a lot of details, but what was the feel of AI?
Well, I think the feel of AI has some really great benefits in ministry work. First of all, helping the gospel get interpreted and distributed is going to be a big deal. There's no question about it. The biggest caution for AI is preachers becoming lazy and using it not actually spending time in prayer and asking God for the message. They just type in their topic, and AI is going to kick out the scriptural references. You can type in, give me a song, a couple of songs to go with it. They'll tell you what songs to go with it. Give me an illustration. It'll give you the illustration. And all of a sudden you turn the pastor into kind of a lazy guy. So anyway, that was one of the cautions. But I just find it interesting. Everybody was an expert.
Yeah.
You know, hire our company because we know what we're doing. Well, whatever. AI is a big deal. It's across the landscape in America. What will it mean to manufacturing down the road? That's a big thing in manufacturing. And Jay Timmons, he is the CEO of the National Association of Manufacturing, talking to Maria Bartiromo about AI replacing jobs. Basically, you know, robots in some cases. And here's what he had to say.
So about 60% right now of manufacturers are using AI in their operations. In fact, they've used it for a number of years. Probably 80% are going to be deploying AI by the year 2030. So when we talk about 433,000 open jobs, Maria, we're talking about different types of jobs, right? So the way it has happened over the course of the history of manufacturing since George Washington outlined manufacturing as a priority for our country 250 years ago. Each generation, the types of jobs evolve, the skill sets that are necessary evolve. We're going to need more people who are trained in AI, who are trained in technology, to be able to take advantage of the benefits. And I would say this, look, we've got, as I said, 433,000 open jobs in manufacturing. Our Manufacturing Institute, led by Carolyn Lee, will tell you that we need to find people wherever we can get them. And that includes a system of legalized, reliable immigration, which means we need to make some improvements. The NAM has sponsored or endorsed the Dignity Act that's been introduced by Maria Salazar from Florida.
Yes.
And it focuses on the economic needs of this country. And that's exactly what I think we need to do. In addition to securing the border, let's focus on what does America need to succeed in the future.
Well, there it is. I will say one thing about AI. If you're a social media consumer, you probably have noticed lately in the last year or so the increase of AI stories and pictures that are just totally fake.
Yes. Yep.
They're just totally fake. I mean, so the best thing you can do if you're on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever one you're on, and you see a story, you know, like Nancy Guthrie was found dead. I mean, that was all over the social media there for a while. When you see a story like that, quickly go outside of your social media sources and go to the mainline press and see if it's being covered.
Yeah.
You know, because I am surprised how AI is absolutely polluting social media with a bunch of garbage, and most of it is just flat fake stuff, and you got to be aware of it. So pretty interesting. All right, let's check out the weather brought to you by our good friends there at Grange Co-op this morning. Most of the area is going to get some rain up around northern Oregon, Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, McMinnville. Rain and mild temperatures anywhere from the low to mid and even high 40s. Willamette Valley, same thing. Salem, Albany, Corvallis, Eugene, looking for temperatures today in the mid to upper 40s, all with some scattered rain throughout the day. Central Oregon will see some rain in Prineville, Bend, and Sun River. Rain is likely there as well. And our friends in Boise, a high today of 59 and cloudy, so pretty nice out that way. As you get along the coast, well, rain and the wind kicks in. Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings, all with some rain. Pretty breezy at times. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 50s. Crescent City, 59 with some showers and rain there as well. Our own backyard today, mid to upper 50s today. Grants Pass, rain. Medford, Ashland, chance of some rain and light rain. And over in Klamath Falls, looking for a high today of about 50. Mostly cloudy with a chance of falls over there. And then down in California, Wairika will see 54, the possibility of rain. As you get further down into Redding and Chico, cloudy, then a chance of rain. And then as you get into the Sacramento metro area, looking for a high today of 67 with partly cloudy skies and some rain in that area. The Bay Area, Santa Rosa, fog, slight chance of rain. Napa will see 66 after some fog, a slight chance of rain. The city today, 66 with a partly cloudy sky condition. In San Jose, a few little areas of fog and then giving way to partly sunny skies and the temperatures bumping to 72. All right, nice weather out there, a little rain, and that's a picture of our backyard. There comes the clouds, bringing with it some rain this afternoon, so we look forward to that. We need more. All right.
Absolutely. Well, we've got some historical stuff to be telling you about a little bit here today. This is very historic because it was 1455. That was a while ago.
Yeah,
I don't even remember it. Johannes Gutenberg printed his first Bible. This is the day that he is attributed to having done that. And you think of the influence not only of just printing in general, but also of the Bible. You talk about AI helping with translations, Perry. Well, think of this, which was even a bigger thing, where now the Bible could be printed for all sorts of people to be able to read it. 1540, Francisco Vasquez de Coronado's expedition set off from Mexico. And why? What were they doing? They were looking for the 7 cities of gold, which they didn't find, but there have been movies, kind of made on that principle. 1836, this is a date that the Alamo was besieged for 13 days until it was freed. March 6th, the Mexican army attacking it, and all the people died who were inside. That's very unfortunate. But it certainly was a rallying cry for the United States at that point. Remember the Alamo, that type of a thing. 1904, we got control of the Panama Canal Zone. It did cost us a little bit, though, $10 million back then in 1904. And this is a year in 1945, the famous flag raising on top of Mount Suribachi took place by Joe Rosenthal. At least he took the picture. It was the soldiers who actually raised the flag right there. And it kind of became that iconic Marine memorial. And so that happened today, a lot of historic things. And what's also interesting is that Saturday marked the anniversary since Billy Graham's passing. And, you think some people may not even know who Billy Graham was if they were young enough. Yeah. 12 years old and now 6 years later. Well, here is a tribute to Billy Graham and the things that he said during his life.
One of these days, they're going to be taking me out to the cemetery. They'll be saying some words over me. Is that the end? Is it all over? Here is the question. If a man die, shall he live again?
The moment you read in the paper that Billy Graham is dead, you'll know that he's more alive than he's ever been before. And I'm in heaven. Heaven.
I know I'm going to heaven. I'm looking forward to it with great anticipation because of what Jesus did on that cross. He died for us, but he was raised by God.
The angel said, he is not here, he is risen. I submit to you tonight that that's the greatest news the world has ever heard. He is not here. He has conquered the grave. He's alive.
Because he lives, we too are going to live someday in that same resurrection glory. And because of the hope we have in Jesus, we can all be in heaven someday forever. But first, there must be a decision here and now in this life.
He's alive. I've given my life not to a dead Christ, but to a living Christ. I know where I've come from. I know why I'm here. I know where I'm going. Do you?
Wow, it's hard to believe it's been 6 years. I remember his service very clearly, Quite the evangelist. One of the last things I ever did in Sacramento before we moved up here, I was the pilot for the radio and TV station. And Billy Graham was coming to the expo there to hold a 3-day service. And so I got to be part of the team, and so many people come. But my job was, when they found out who I was, they said, well, why don't you just pray over, when you fly over it every morning, why don't you just pray over the stadium? So for 3 days, actually about a week, I flew with my Bible open on my lap and flew over the stadium there at Expo where he was going to speak for 3 days. And it was quite a deal. Of course, everywhere he went, he packed the place out. No question about it. So good stuff all the way around. Well, the other thing is, Alistair Begg, he's from Crossways, one of the apologists, a little bit of a Irish vogue to him there. He shares why it's important to know Jesus as the great high priest. And here's what he had to say.
It's not uncommon in the moment to meet people that are thoroughly despondent. And if you talk with them, either honestly or it's their conjecture, that there's really nobody actually knows them and nobody really cares for them. Even if they're involved in a religious context where they might have a minister or a priest if they come from a Catholic background, even there they feel that that sense of separation is such that these individuals to whom they go could never enter into their circumstances. Of all the things that is so magnificent about the priesthood of Jesus and how he is a priest, is the fact that he is touched with the feelings of our infirmities. Every other priest up until that time is preparing the sacrifice in order to present it. It is objective to him. Christ offers up himself in his own body on the tree and fulfills that for which all of the Old Testament is looking, and provides for us access into the presence of God, boldness before the Father, because we're not standing there in our own right, but we're standing there in the strength that is ours through the righteousness of Christ. The priesthood of the Lord Jesus is a wonderful thing.
Beautiful. All right, check it out. All right, we'll take a quick break, and there's rumors that there's banana bread in the building.
Oh, great.
But
it is Banana Bread Day.
Steve, it's just a rumor. I don't see...
Act upon it.
It's just a rumor. We'll be right back.
Act upon the rumor.
We'll be right back.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Ecclesiastes 3:11 says this: God has planted eternity in the human heart. But even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from beginning to end. Now, I want you to notice that verse. Notice it says, God has planted eternity in the human heart. What does that mean? It means that no matter where you are in the world, no matter what religion somebody has, human beings have a God-given, built-in instinct to realize there's got to be more to life than just here and now. Eternity was put in our hearts. We got to think there's got to be more to this. There's got to be more to life after death. Why does every religion believe there's life after death? Because God wired us that way. You were made for more than just the here and now.
A ministry moment on the Dove.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Welcome back. 13 minutes before the hour. Steve and Perry with you this morning. Steve Johnson live from beautiful downtown Tucson, Arizona. Going to be 78 degrees down there today.
I think so. It's good. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, beautiful day. All right. Well, recently I had John Gizzi on. John has been a political correspondent for years. He's now with Newsmax. And we talked about how President Biden's 1.0 and then the re-election of President Trump's 2.0, and that when President Trump came into office, he came in with enormous power, winning both the popular vote and the college vote. And I asked him, I said, John, do you think the momentum for the president is still there, or has it faded? Here's what he had to say.
Well, I think any time a president has been in more than a year, the glitz and the glow in his election fade. I certainly saw this in 2017. Donald Trump had a tremendous upset over Hillary Clinton and had both the House and the Senate in his corner. But soon, his followers begin to wonder, what has he done lately? And in the enthusiasm dims. In the meantime, the opposition, its hand-wringing, its tears are over. They are in a fighting mode to win. As I said, I've seen it before. The luster will always fade after a while. Now, if you go back and look at the big, beautiful bill, after the passage of it, Trump was riding high. After the Saturday morning raid in Venezuela that started that country on a path to democracy, the president was in very stable condition. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's subject. I mean, you got the economy, you got other world events. I mean, what's going to happen with Iran, which is we're right on the threshold of something happening in Iran. Now you got Mexico. I mean, all of these things could sway the voter at the last minute. So I don't think that where a lot of people are saying that the Trump fatigue factor is starting to show up. Maybe so. I don't know. The syndrome factor is there no matter what, so you can't really use that as a gauge. But today we're living in such a volatile world. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? You know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen there. So, anyway, Brent Hamachek will be with us. He was the media coach for Charlie Kirk. We have a lot to talk about there and the power of words and messaging. So we'll talk to him a little bit coming up here shortly.
All right, sounds good. Well, the situation is that not only are we looking at what the United States going to do with Iran, but there's also the Soviet-Iran kind of games that are going on now. And I use that term, you know, it's like exercises that they are doing right there. Caroline Levitt, of course, is a White House spokesperson, and she was asked by a reporter regarding what the president's view and plans are with all of this going on in the Middle East.
Russia is reportedly joining Iran for joint naval exercises in the Gulf of Oman this week. Has the president issued any kind of warning to Russia or even China not to involve itself if the U.S. decides to strike Iran?
Not to my knowledge, no, or not that I would dictate from this podium. I wouldn't reveal the president's private conversations with world leaders. With respect to that, again, when it comes to Iran, the president has a decision to make, and he will do that, and I'm not going to broadcast what that decision may be ahead of him.
President.
And we still have that like 18 to 12 days that the president could take some action against Iran. So all of this is on the table, including those joint exercises with the Soviet Union. That's, with Russia. Well, that's just a very serious thing going on there.
Well, when we were at the NRB, there was great emphasis on Israel this year, tremendous emphasis. And in fact, I had a long conversation with Chris Mitchell, who we have on the air quite a bit. And the basic sentiment in Israel is that that Israel, with United States help, has to finish the job in Hamas. And Israel, for the most part, is for some kind of neutralization of Iran. Now, how that looks, we don't know. But what's at stake here is they are rebuilding their nuclear program, so do we finish taking those out? And if there is an attack on Iran, then the first retaliatory response would be missiles to Israel. And does the intelligence have The Israel launching pad, the missile launching pads aimed at Israel, are they on the radar, or do we turn that over to Israel? The coordination is really interesting. And then there's another country over there you don't know what's going to happen, and that is Syria. And Syria is kind of out of control. So what do you do with Syria these days, raising its ugly head and its capabilities? And the mystery is Qatar. Why has the president buddied up to Qatar when they were the chief sponsors in many ways of terror around the world, along with Iran? So it's very complicated.
He's also buddied up with Saudi Arabia, and that was even after some of the concerns there about whether the Saudi crown prince was involved with that journalist's death, remember, a few years ago? So it's an interesting group of people that get together and are buddies for a while. Meanwhile, in Jordan, which is an ally, I should say, there's a situation where there's all sorts of U.S. jets that are ready to fly into Iran.
Then the other thing is the citizen unrest in Iran seems to be without a leader. In other words, it's a genuine citizen unrest. And yet, most of them would like to see the son of the Shah to come back into power, which he hasn't been there in years. He's been living here in the United States. Has he been westernized enough to be sent over there to take control of the government? And is he capable, you know? When you
and
create
the
a
question
vacuum
that they have in Iran is he too Western? You know, that can be a problem, too, for somebody who's coming over there. So a lot of questions, a lot of prayer that needs to be made for that whole region, as if that ever stopped. I mean, we always should be praying, but we've got some specific things here now.
Yeah, that was Chris Mitchell's main point. He said, look, the instability there, and I asked if the citizens in Israel were tired, and of course they're tired, but they still have a very high resolve of finishing the job, so to speak. Lebanon is still not quite settled down. There's some loose ends in Lebanon. You got the loose end still with Hamas inside Gaza. What do you do with that? What's the ones out of Yemen? What do you call that bunch? I forget.
The Houthi rebels.
The Houthis, the Houthis out of Yemen. So all of this is very much in an unrest. But in the meantime, Saudi Arabia was heading to join the accord. But since all this unrest, they've kind of backed away, and you kind of go, okay, so what does that mean, you know? But if, if Iran is taken out, what does that mean in the way of oil to China and to Russia? And is that the sparking point for China and Russia to get involved?
That could be huge. I mean, there's so many undercurrents, like you're saying, that we do need to be praying for that region for sure.
And one other thing that's popped up, I don't know if the president will deal with this tomorrow night, who knows, but the other one that's just kind of sitting out there with really no direction is Cuba. Cuba has lost all of their revenue by the ships not coming in from Venezuela, which brought, resources into Cuba. Yeah. That's been cut off. And they say they're really on the edge of a humanitarian crisis inside Cuba. So does Cuba fall? And if so, who takes it over? Do we go in there and make it State 51, or are we still interested in Greenland becoming 51? I don't know.
We've had problems with Cuba in the past, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, it's awful close and a lot of problems there, so we'll check that out. All right, well, anyway, good to see you, Steve. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you tomorrow.
I look forward to being with you tomorrow, too.
Yeah, and let me say to our viewers and listeners, stick around. We got Brent Hamachek coming up with us. He was the media consultant to Charlie Kirk, and then Polina will be joining me in the studio a little bit later on. Take with you today Hebrews 11, chapter 11, verse 1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That's the definition of faith.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com.
The launch event is like a training for the younger pro-life generation to be a better pro-life advocate. I think the best part about launch was that it taught us how to argue and then put us on a college campus to argue the pro-life position. Not a lot of knowledge is required to go into launch. You just have to be pro-life and willing to learn.
Join us March 23rd through 26th in Salem, Oregon. Visit ortl.org/launch for more information. Scholarships available. Please email info@jacksoncountyprolife.org.
The Pregnancy Center in Medford is a place of hope, providing free pregnancy testing, ultrasounds, options counseling, and support to help women make informed, empowered choices. The Pregnancy Center is growing, hiring registered nurses to join our compassionate team. Work in a supportive environment where you can truly make a difference. No ultrasound experience? No problem. We'll train you in limited ultrasonography, a valuable new skill set for your career. To learn more, visit thepregnancycenter.us. Thepregnancycenter.us.
It was an amazing year of growth here at the Dove. You, our viewers and partners, blessed us. With a new studio, a video wall, control room, and much needed installation, heating and air conditioning, plus you helped us renew our tower leases so we can continue to broadcast the Dove all across our network. And from everyone here at the Dove, a huge thank you. We could have never done this without your help. We appreciate you standing with the Dove prayerfully and financially to keep the Dove encouraging and informative 24 hours a day.
Over time, every wall tells a story, but sometimes those stories need a fresh start. At Chris Silva Painting, we specialize in transforming indoor spaces, whether it's your family home or your business workspace. With premium paints, flexible scheduling, and expert attention to detail, we make the process simple and stress-free so you can focus on what matters most, living and working in a space you love. From bold new colors to subtle tones of sophistication, let Chris Silva Painting bring your vision to life, one wall at a time. Chris and his crew are courteous, they're efficient, organized, timely, and clean. Chris Silva Painting also offers military discounts. At Chris Silva Painting, our mission statement is to bring Christ's heart and principles to our customers and our job sites. We do that with honesty, integrity, and hard work. We don't cut corners, we paint them. CCB number 176097. Chris Silva Painting, 541-890-3960. 541-890-3960.
Focus Today, an hour you need to strengthen your faith and stay informed. Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and delighted to have with us today Brent Hamachek. He is a New York Times best-selling author, communications strategist, and former media coach for Charlie Kirk and the Turning Point USA. He's authored several books, and the Decidedly Speaking, Changing the Words, Change the War, and bring decades of experience in political messaging, cultural analysis, and media strategies. There's a picture of the cover of the book there on the screen. And he does have, excuse me, a website, BrentHamachek.com, and you can check out the website as well. Brent, good to see you today. I apologize for my voice. I'm still recovering from the NRB.
Not a problem. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
You bet. First of all, tell me about your work with Charlie.
Well, I was sort of the one lucky enough to get picked by Charlie Kirk when he was just about to turn 19 years old, and was introduced to him at a dinner by a friend of mine, a contemporary in age who had met him, who thought, for whatever reason, that I'd be able to help him. Now, I couldn't imagine how. I mean, I had my own business consulting practice. I wasn't in the world of political organizations or not-for-profits. But he insisted on setting up a dinner, and so we spent 3.5 hours together one evening here in the Chicago suburbs, and there were 5 people at the table, and as I often say, there were really only 2 of us. And that was in October of 2013. Turning Point was just about a year old. And from that dinner led to a collaboration that started only a month or 2 later. And it led to us working together on a whole host of things. So we wrote Time for a Turning Point together. That's public record because our names are on it. That book is a New York Times bestseller. But in addition to that, it gave me an opportunity to do a host of things. And one of which is that I wrote 6 of Turning Point USA's first 7 tabling literature booklets where they would make an argument for various free market arguments. I was fortunate enough to be Charlie's writer for his opinion columns from 2014 through 2023, January of 2023. Had to get that right. And then Ghost wrote some short books for him, and then finally did training for him and for the Turning Point students in persuasive communication. And the media coach thing, I did that. We worked on his media appearances from 2014 through 2016 together. And I also had the privilege to be his, private tutor, teacher, whatever it might be, for political science.
Wow.
So quite a wide background, and people, they can be very nice and they'll say, wow, I really appreciate you did great work and all those things. And I said, look, you're doing this backwards. I'm the one that's grateful because Charlie was going to be a phenomenal success no matter who worked with him. And I just happened to be picked. And so because of him picking me, it allowed me to go on and do a lot of really great and fun things in my career. So I'm the one with the gratitude, and I'm the one that was fortunate. So those are the highlights of this story. The background was pretty extensive.
That's beautiful. Brent, keeping it a little bit simple, what do you think was the spark about Charlie that captured the attention of so many people?
Well, first of all, he was brilliant. I mean, in the true sense, the word's overused, but he was legitimately brilliant. And so he had an ability to communicate, to articulate, it's one thing to be able to form an idea, and it's another thing to be able to articulate the idea. Now, there's lots of people that are great at forming ideas, and there's lots of people who are great at articulation. But there's only a handful of people that can form the idea and then articulate it in both, right? Who can cover both aspects. And so when you're able to do that, then you become compelling because you're not reciting something that someone else told you, you're reciting something you figured out. And so you do it with passion, and you know all the arguments because you created the proposition in the first place. And so it was that sort of brilliance that allowed him to connect with people. And, at first, he had a great advantage, too, because he started doing it at a very young age. And nobody does that, right? So what happens then is that you're disarming. He was almost like a Trojan horse slipped into the American political dialogue because nobody expected what was inside of it when an 18, 19-year-old kid came rolling up to the podium or the microphone.
All right. I want to get into, political messaging as we go into this midterm election. We have some political backgrounds. We have a son that served in the legislature for 14 years. I was chairman of our party for several years. So we're involved in this stuff, but I have to tell you, finding the right message in the right times is not an easy thing.
Right.
How would you approach a message in today's culture?
Well, what a wonderful question. So a great deal of my work and time now is spent with our youth program, Common Ground Campus, that my dear friend Felissa Blazek developed, and I work with her. And we're trying to teach young people how to think critically, engage constructively, and solve problems instead of arguing about differences. And so in terms of messaging in today's political climate, you have an extraordinarily complex problem. And that is that if you survey the American people, I suspect somewhere around 90% of them would say that they think that the political rhetoric and the atmosphere today is too divisive and unhealthy. You get 10% that would actually admit that they liked it. The problem is with the 90% that said they didn't, their behavior indicates otherwise. So they subscribe to sites that are filled with what I call red meat opinion. They follow influencers who peddle and deal in just mindless sort of hatred and, sort of idiomatic expressions and clever memes. There's no depth to it. I would argue that close to 100% of the people that call themselves influencers need to be influenced otherwise. So we have a problem between what people say they want because they know it's the right thing to say versus what it is they tend to consume, which is really divisive, hateful, and polarized rhetoric. And we have turned this country into something where every single thing that happens becomes binary. You're for or against. You hate or you love. So in terms of messaging, what I would suggest is a good policy for a politician to try to follow would be to try to catch the attention of what is inside that 90% who say that they want something that is sort of more civic-minded and engaging and positive. Try to reach them by actually doing it. And try not to hate on your neighbor. Try instead to offer constructive thoughts and ideas. And by the way, be prepared to fail initially because people aren't used to it. But somebody's got to try. And I suspect that sooner or later, with the right politicians doing it the right way, that they will start to break through to people and have people say, I like this. I'm not used to it, but I like it. And it seems to be something I was looking for in the first place. So do better in your messaging, politicians. Get out of the gutter where virtually all of them live, and stop trying to divide people into bits of binary 0 and 1 code, and try to start getting them to think again and engage constructively. And Mr. Politician, Mrs. Politician, it starts with you.
How do we, how do we control anger?
Well, that I was waiting for more of the question. There doesn't need to be, right? That's a great question. Mm-hmm. Look, we don't control it. I control it. Mm-hmm. You control it. Anger is an emotion that only gets to be controlled one individual at a time. And so the problem we have is that our political climate, using the resources I mentioned a moment ago, what it does is it is deliberately trying to tap into the anger piece. Anger is a great motivator. Politicians know that. Influencers know that. And so they always say that sex sells. Well, in today's America, hate sells. And unfortunately, the only way to control anger, again, is one individual at a time. So try diaphragmatic breathing, try thinking before you talk, take less caffeine maybe as I sip on a cup of coffee, but make efforts to control your own anger, which is an emotion, and replace it with reason. And see if you can't take that deep breath and drop your pulse rate before you step into the public square or into the dining room or living room for that matter.
Is fear still a selling point?
Fear always has been and always will be. It's interesting because, of course, every prepper in the world knows this, right? We prep based on fear of a natural disaster, an EMP, or whatever else it might be. And when you tap into fear, you're tapping into another great motivator to get people to follow along and behave irrationally. One of the things that's mentioned in Dissidently Speaking is talking about the fight or flight response. The fight or flight response is something instinctive to us that's meant to be lived in for a matter of seconds in a severe situation when we need to make an instant decision regarding our survival. Fight or flight is not meant to be a state in which we live permanently. And when you live and dwell in it permanently, your psyche's not really built for it. And really bad things start to happen. And I think, you just talked about anger, you talked about fear. I think too much of what happens in our public square today is being dominated by the manifestation of those two things. And those are emotions we're supposed to experience for a split second when something really matters to our survival. We're not supposed to live in them 24/7.
Yeah. Out of the blue, as you know, Mondami comes, the mayor of New York City, and his message was affordability. And it seemed to work, but he's managing in total opposite of that. What's your take on it?
Well, another fun question. I love all the questions. These are fun. So first of all, Mamdani ran on what is a very, very classic socialist message. We live, by the way, in a socialist country. That's not an argument to make. It's a factual statement. We have extraordinarily large government, large corporations involved in planning, managing, and overseeing economic, political, and social activity. So we live in a socialist country, ran on a socialist message in a city that's been increasingly socialist for many decades. No surprise that he got elected. Of course, then there's the funny thing when you do get elected. Much like his adversary on the national level, President Trump has discovered, when you're elected in the United States, you actually aren't elected king, right? So you have to govern. You have either a House and a Senate or a city council, and you've got all the realities of systems in place and procedures and entrenched bureaucrats doing things a certain way. So his issues, problems, what seems to be doublespeak on his part, to go all Orwell on it, very predictable, very predictable. But the big thing to take away about him is that he was elected in the first place. And so the inconvenient truth about Mamdani is that while in governing, some of his behavior has to get adjusted because of realities. It doesn't mean the message he shared to get elected has changed. And it doesn't mean that the people that voted for him didn't vote for that message. And that should be extraordinarily concerning, that the people in the largest city of the United States have continued a migration towards a more collectivist idea of governing.
When we swung from President Biden to President Trump, it was a huge swing. I mean, a huge swing, and the numbers were obviously big, both on the Electoral College and also in a popular vote. And two different approaches, two different messages. What was it about the Trump message that resonated?
Well, I would suggest that I would challenge your premise a little bit.
Okay.
So with regard to Trump's victory over Biden, it was by historical standards pedestrian. And let me back that up. So a lot of people like to equate the feeling about Trump to the feeling about Reagan, right? I hear that a lot. So let's compare. Let's go back to 1980, Reagan's first election, and let's look at the last 12 presidential elections. All right, so Trump's electoral victory this past election comes in 8th out of 12, 8th best. His popular vote margin is 9th, and only 3 are worse. The 3 are Bill Clinton over George Bush in 1992, but remember that was the Ross Perot election, so that distorted the numbers. The other one was George Bush in 2000, the famous Bush v. Gore election. And then finally, the other one was Trump's 2016 win over Hillary Clinton. So he did not get a majority of the American vote. He got 49.8%. So by all measures, this idea that his election victory reflected some radical shift in America just simply isn't borne out by the numbers. It just isn't. And then you have to add to that something else. He arguably ran against the worst nominee since the 1930s and the Republicans that were thrown up against FDR. I mean, Kamala Harris is sort of the female equivalent of the medieval village idiot, right? She's just not terribly bright, very unappealing. She was a bad candidate when she ran for president. Nobody voted for her. And so Trump didn't have a big mandate. He didn't have a big majority. He didn't even get a majority of the vote. So the answer to your question lies in what I believe is an adjustment in its formulation. This was not a radical shift. And that is why Trump finds himself today in so much difficulty in terms of the view of voters on his policy.
All right, good point.
Because he didn't come in with a giant mandate.
All right, let me take a quick break. Check out Brent's website, Brent Hamachek. There's a picture of his landing page. And Decidingly Speaking is his book. Check that out as well. Available online and where books are sold. We'll be right back.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
What an amazing year of growth last year for the Dove. You, our viewers and partners, blessed us with a new studio, a video wall to create sets for new local programming, a state-of-the-art control room, and much-needed insulation along with heating and air conditioning. Plus, you helped us renew many tower leases so we can continue to bring you the Dove all across our network and a brand new full-power TV station. And from everyone here at the Dove, a huge thank you. We could have never done this without you. Your prayers and support is allowing the Dove to bring the gospel, encouragement, and information to millions more people needing the hope of Christ worldwide. We appreciate you standing with the Dove prayerfully and financially in our mission to reach people with the good news via television, radio, and streaming online. Thank you for your continued faithful support in keeping the Dove encouraging and informative 24 hours a day.
The Dove TV streams worldwide on Roku and Apple TV, plus online at theDove.us.
You feel most alive where you feel most at home. And this is living. Bobcat, the company that changed the way the world works, is coming home with a quality compact tractor built to match your quality of life. This isn't work you have to do. It's work you get to do. So get it done in a tractor that's all you. See your dealer or visit bobcat.com.
Okay, welcome back. What an honor to have with us today Brent Hamachek. He's the New York Times best-selling author. His latest book, I think you'll find to be a must-read, Decidingly Speaking, Change the Words and Change the War. He's all previously a media coach for the late Charlie Kirk. There's a picture of the cover of his book on the screen, and he does have a website, BrentHamachek.com, and there's a picture of his landing page. Again, Brent, thank you for your time. And I want to play off the answer to your last question, because as we head into this midterm election, it seems to be that the president's message is the economy. The Democrats' message is anything and anybody but Trump. Where does that leave the American people?
Well, I think in terms of what the midterm election will be, I don't know that the Democrats actually need to have much of a message because the election will be a referendum on Trump and his policies and the perceptions of them. So there will simply be people that view this, since they don't get to vote for president, they're going to go and they're going to vote yes or no on continue this or do anything to stop it, right? I think that's the way they'll vote. So I don't think they need much of a message. You know, I've been a salesperson for 40 years, and I've, you know, taught sales, managed sales teams, given keynote addresses, and so on and so forth. We're always taught, don't sell using negatives. It's this old rule of selling. And like every other rule, it's generally right, but not always. And so I think in this case, the Democrats will go out and the message is going to be a negative message against Trump. I live in Illinois, so, you know, we're filled now with political ads that because it's the primary season. And all of the Democrat messages are on television are messages against Trump, right? It almost says nothing about their opponent, except if it tries to tie their opponent to Trump. So I think that'll be their message. And, you know, Republicans in the House and Senate, they have a difficult challenge. And I like to point out to people that there are two aspects to policy. There is the what and there is the how. And in my mind, they're equally important. They're 50-50. And so the challenge that I think that Republicans have is that for some people, even if they agree with the what of any particular Trump policy, they may have reservations about the hows. And so that's going to be the piece where Republican candidates are going to have to walk a line. And I think in some cases, depending upon their district, they're going to have, or state, they're going to have to say to their constituents, look, the president's doing this, this, and this. I know you like those things. You may not like some of the things you've seen in terms of how they're being done, but elect me and I will make it my job to help the president continue with the what's and do better with the hows. Oversimplified, but not by much.
Is the Trump fatigue factor kicked in?
Yes, I think decidedly so. And, you know, and I answer that very quickly, but not flippantly. Here's what I know. Just, you know, anecdotal stuff is fun. You know, there's a great danger in anecdotal evidence because it's limited, right? It's not scientific. It's distorted by who you're close to and or what you might read. But I can tell you this, that most of the people that I know who are friends, most of them, not all of them, happen to have voted for Trump. And I could say very informally, but anecdotally, right now, today, a year plus in, they're split about 50-50. Some of them are real enthused and very happy with what they're seeing, you know, and they're wearing their cheerleader outfit, and they've got their red pom-poms out, right? And the other half are looking at me and saying, what is going on? What is he doing? And so if I'm getting that anecdotally just from a sampling of friends who voted for him, and then you look at polls and you look at other things and reactions, you can start to get a sense that there is a fatigue factor going on, one that in all fairness, I don't think it's a controversial statement to say, one that he contributes to significantly because of his rhetoric. Last Friday being a great example after the Supreme Court decision. That wears people out.
Yeah. So that was my next question. You kind of answered it. Is it policy or personality that's starting to wane here?
It's both. So for example, I will not share with you, but I will hint at my own personal opinion that has nothing to do with anything, and I won't share it. But with regard to illegal immigration and what should be done, suffice to say, my personal opinion is, quite harsh, okay? So I'm not soft on this issue at all. But I'm not representative of the American public. And, you know, despite all the derision of the whole no kings thing, forget the propaganda side. Of course, we don't live in a kingdom. We do live in a place where people vote and you got to get reelected and so on. So if you take a look at ICE and the tactics they've used and the confrontations in the streets and the shootings, you look at all this, there are a whole lot of folks looking at that who are saying, hey, I think we do need to do something about this illegal immigration and the people that are here, but this looks a little over the top to me, right? And so it isn't just rhetoric, it is actually things that are being done. And again, I come back to the what and the how matter. And the how especially matters because we don't live in 1500 England where the king can simply eliminate dissenters. Right. The king or the leaders of the politicians, they have to get reelected, which means you have to pay attention to how people are reacting to what you're doing. You can't dismiss it. You can't say, I don't care. Because if you don't care, the final thought on this is that the risk we're running is that if someone is 100% in favor of every single Donald Trump policy, and I mean 100% in favor, they need to be concerned because he'll only be around for 3 more years. And if he cannot embed the idea of those policies successfully in the head of a majority of Americans, they won't just not continue, they will likely be reversed. So the how matters, and my hope is that we see some changes perhaps in tactics and techniques and rhetorics over the next few years.
Brent, you're fascinating. I want to get you back, but what do you want people to get from your book?
I want them to get the prime message, which is please flip 2 words in the English language. Turn declaratives into interrogatives. Please stop saying it is all the time and start asking, is it? And related to that, stop saying they are and ask, are they? Finally, get a really good mirror, stand in front of it, and stop saying I am and ask, am I? And I think if we can flip declaratives into interrogatives, we can start to flip the country into a more thoughtful place.
Well said. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out his website, BrentHamachek.com. There's a picture of the landing page. Certainly get a copy of his book, Decidingly Speaking. There's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen, available online or where books are sold. Brent, thank you for your time. Fascinating. Hope to get you back soon.
It was a real pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity very much. I'd be happy to come back.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Bye.
Fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary, sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site, in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare, where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living. Your home.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Focus Today. For the next couple of segments, I'm your host, Paulina Leiser, and in the guest chair today, Perry Atkinson, CEO and president of theDove, and the most recent recipient of the NRB Award for the TV Station of the Year. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm sorry about my voice. I was in and out of so many rooms where they had the air conditioner on or they had the heat on or you were outside and all this and that. And I mean, Thursday, no voice. And Friday, I was supposed to do the prayer at the closing event, and I couldn't do it. I didn't have a talk.
We know who's in charge. There must have been a reason for that. So can we talk? Is that okay?
Yeah, we can talk, yeah.
All right. Well, I was going to ask you first, before I have all my questions, and I want to know about the atmosphere at the convention and some of the things that were discussed. Can you briefly describe why this is such a big deal? What is NRB, and what is this annual convention that
Well,
they
the
have?
NRB is the National Religious Broadcasters. It's been in existence since 1944, when there was threats against pastors going on radio. And they were being heavily regulated, what they could say and couldn't say, as to whether or not they were even going to go on radio. And so they formed the National Religious Broadcasters Convention, and it came out of a meeting with a bunch of pastors at Moody Institute up in Chicago, in the Moody Church up there. And these pastors gave launch to really an activist organization for our rights to have access to the airways. And that's where it is today. Today, we add to that digital, you add to that TV, you add to that AI and all the other things going on. The bottom line of the convention, about 5,700 people were there.
Wow.
They had about 57,000 square feet of display things. So it's a big convention. They come from literally all over the world. And the only thing I can say is that I did several interviews. That's me doing an interview with Pray.com. It's the place where we come together not only to connect and to meet a lot of people, but it's also the organization that's keeping our rights available for us to be on the air. And I can tell you this, of all the media platforms out there, only broadcast is regulated. The cable companies aren't, the streaming companies aren't, none of the social media people are. They can say and do anything they want to do. But we have the FCC over the top of us, and they watch everything we do. And there's a lot of squeeze now on Christian broadcasting. So that's why I've decided to stay there for all these years, and I've been there over 40 years.
Well, I was going to say, you've been going to NRB for as long as I've known you and before. Was this year any different, the atmosphere at the convention?
I think each convention kind of takes on its own flavor. This year, it was a couple of things. I think the fidelity of the word. Are we being faithful stewards of disseminating God's word? There's so much bad theology out there. There is so much twists and turns and self-interest theology out there. So there was great emphasis on preaching the word and not compromising it. Primarily, you know, with this atmosphere in which we live, where everybody wants to get along, let's just hung and kumbaya. Well, at the point, all of a sudden, you are slowly relaxing your convictions to all of a sudden what you really believe in, you don't believe on anymore because you want to get along with everybody. And so that was an underscore. I would say the other thing was anti-Semitism is the bridge to anti-Christian. And the bottom line is there's a movement in this world, the radical Islamic faith, that's coming after the Saturday people, and they're coming after the Sunday people. That's the Jews and the Christians. And they're serious about it, and government regulations and all of the stuff that we've gone on with DEI and all of these organizations has boiled to the top. And the enemies of the culture are people of faith. And that's a negative thing to say, but you better wake up, because that's the world we're in.
You know, I've been watching the convention from here, kind of clips here and there, social media, what people were posting. And one of the themes that I noticed was, like you mentioned, speaking truth with boldness, knowing what you believe, and somewhat being a guardian of that faith and that truth. And in fact, Pete Hegseth, he talked about that, and we'll play a clip from his speech in a second. But first, I wanted to play a video that NRB posted on their channel, on their Facebook page, where they did a little recap with a few of the speakers, and that was also the message of truth.
We're at a new normal of hostility toward organized churches. Now is the time to be bold. It is not the time to shrink back. This is the age of courage.
The more you can advocate in your community, in your space, the more work that we will be able to do on the large scale, because the people have been responsible for the shift we've seen in the country.
Use the freedom that you have, cherish it, be willing to pay a price for it, and speak boldly with conviction, and you will encourage others to do the same.
As religious communicators, you give voice to the average person in the pew, the ones who serve and strengthen their communities in every area of life. Enemies of Christianity and of faith seek to silence each and every one of you. Do not be afraid of them. The Lord your God himself will fight for you. As long as I have breath, I commit to you that I and we should never allow any group, no matter how large or small, to silence us from speaking the capital T truth. Christ is King. He died for our sins. We are forgiven.
You watch these highlights, and of course it's rah, rah, rah. Everyone is happy, energized, going into the battle. And we are in, an administration that is favorable towards Christian media and Christian organizations. Is there mostly optimism out there among your peers, or fear or concern? Or does it make a difference that Trump is in the White House?
Well, I think that what I sense is a couple of things. One is the gospel is needed more than ever in our culture. It is the answer to everything, okay? And you got to keep that simple. Secondly, there is a genuine silent revival building in America. Young people in various ministries around the country and throughout the world are reaching a whole new level of people with the gospel. More people are coming to Christ than any media will ever tell you, any organization will ever tell you, and those institutions or those churches and those denominations that are true to their original core convictions are growing. Your church is growing. Other churches are growing. The point being is, yes, we appreciate the fact that President Trump's administration has been very favorable for Christian organizations and understands Christian persecution at a whole new level, because especially what's happened in Uganda and some of these, some of these other places. The bottom line is this. I think most people left the convention with a clear determination to become more bold for the gospel. Now, we do a lot here, and you have to be careful when you go to a convention like this. You don't come away comparing yourself to everybody else. You have to come away and say, God, what are we on track with what you called us to do? Yeah. And what have I learned to apply that? But moreover, is our message clear? And two, are we standing bold? Because there is an undercurrent of moving people of faith to a position of the middle, so to speak, so you don't upset anybody. And that's dangerous territory.
This time, were there more podcasters, independent producers there, or did you notice a shift in productions and...
Well, I would say this year there was fewer program offerings. There were some, but fewer than we've had in the past. The big thing this year in the convention hall, the expo hall, was AI.
That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
How are we doing with AI?
Well, AI, as I told Steve earlier this morning, I said the interesting thing about AI to me was that all of a sudden we have all these experts. Well, where you guys been all this time? And why all of a sudden are you an expert? There's a lot of caution about AI, but I have to tell you this. The good side of AI and getting the gospel out is amazing, especially in language conversion and just getting it electronically and digitally distributed. It's pretty powerful. But if you don't understand AI and you don't know what it's doing, it could get you. If there was a caution in AI, it was for pastors not to become lazy and use it. Mm-hmm. If you don't spend time in prayer as a pastor, getting the transcendent message from God to your congregation, shame on you. And that was very clear. And the house erupted when that was said. Yeah.
But Christian broadcasters are embracing AI and the new technologies.
Yes, in the right sense of how it will work technically. I mean, we're starting to use it here in some levels, and so as long as you understand what you're doing, it's really a great tool.
So have you met anyone who's doing anything similar as we are doing here with the streaming and TV, radio combined?
Well, there's other ministries that do what we do, that do radio, TV, digital. Most of them are specific. Most of them do just radio, just TV, or they do podcasts is obviously a big thing. Mm-hmm. They do all of those things. We're kind of maybe in a small group because we do all of those things. I was surprised, and you deserve the credit for this, how many people watch this program because of the guests we get, and then they want them on their show. So you have launched, by getting me the guest you get me for Focus Today, you have launched some people's exposure way out there, and I heard from that from several angles.
Oh, I should ask about royalties.
Yeah, there you go. I think you ought to get a commission on that.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about the TV award coming up after the break, but I do want to play a clip from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
So let me explain this.
Talk about that one.
He, Thursday night was a 250 celebration of America being 250 years old. And they had this huge program planned. Well, at literally the last minute, we got word that Pete Hegseth was available to come. Mm-hmm. And he was somewhere else, and he flew in. And that pushed the whole program back because they had to take him first. And he shows up with his own color guard and his own Army band. So it was really something. But he steps out on the stage, and I tell you what, yes, he may be Secretary of War, but he gave a very clear cultural argument of everything we do, and our position in it should be biblical. And that was the essence of his message. It was really well received.
Well, I haven't had a chance to listen to the whole thing. It hasn't been posted, and I've been looking. So we were able to find a few clips. So here is just kind of a highlight of his speech.
Gone is godless and divisive DEI. Gone is gender-bending equity and quotas. Gone is climate change worship to a false god. We are one military, one fighting force, one nation under God. We are not in woke we trust, we are in God we trust. As religious communicators, you give voice to the average person in the pew, the ones who serve and strengthen their communities in every area of life, including serving in the military. Enemies of Christianity and of faith seek to silence each and every one of you. Sadly, in some cases, their bullying tactics have worked. Loud and aggressive voices tell you that's political. You can't talk about that from the pulpit or your podcast or your platform, and then threaten legal action or your tax status in order to cancel you. Well, Scripture, as it always does, offers strength. Deuteronomy 3:22 says, "Do not be afraid of them. The Lord your God himself will fight for you." And 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 13, "But even if you should suffer for what is right, you are blessed. Do not fear their threats. Do not be frightened." We people of faith must not back down. We will continue to praise Christ and exalt God. And if we did back down, as it says in Luke 19, the very rocks would cry out to praise him. As long as I have breath, I commit to you that I and we should never allow any group, no matter how large or small, to silence us from speaking the capital T truth. Christ is King. He died for our sins. We are forgiven.
Well, it was a powerful speech, and several times he got standing ovations. One of them was when he said, "We train, we don't trans." And the place erupted, as you can imagine. But
he's a great communicator himself and has had a career in television.
See, his media experience has taught him how to communicate, so he does a good job.
Yeah. Well, coming up after the break, we'll talk about this little thing sitting on the table, our newest award. So don't go away. We'll be back.
I'm Susanna, and I contracted KA Designs to do custom cabinets throughout my house. We chose a really beautiful maple wood that really creates like a nice airy space. Everything was custom, and it was really cool because I got to literally see it come to life in person. We love to entertain, and we have a large family, so everything came together perfectly, exactly what I wanted. I highly suggest KA Designs if you're looking to design your dream house. Go check them out in their showroom. You will not be disappointed.
Heavenly Father, I just want to say thank you today. I don't want to pray just when I need something or when things aren't going my way. I need you all the time, no matter what is going on, and I just want to say thank you. Even though things aren't perfect, you are, and your plan for me is. Thank you for your grace, for your mercy, for your unconditional love for me. And most of all, thank you for sending your son Jesus to die for my sins to prove that unconditional love. That even while I was a sinner, he died for me. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Twin Factor is brought to you on the Dove TV by Black Flag Armory. Firearms, gunsmithing, training, and the best prices in Southern Oregon. Twin Factor, weekends on the Dove TV.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Welcome back. Happy Monday. Paulina and Perry here this morning talking about National Religious Broadcasters Convention that took place last week in Tennessee. 5,700 people, right? Or something like that. Lots of different stands and connections made and broadcasters in the same room. Very electric from what I could tell.
Yes.
Very energetic, optimistic people walked away, probably energized to take their programs and their stations to the next level and to speak boldly for the truth. Well, one of the highlights for us, for the Dove, was receiving the award that we, most every year we apply, submit our application. There are different categories than the radio and the television areas. And this year we did submit an application for the television station of the year, and we were selected.
Yes, this is each year it gets a little bit more interesting. The way they changed the categories, they had low power, then they had full power, and we would win the low power a couple of times, and then they changed. And then they take anybody that does television. It's not the program, but anybody that does a television station or a broadcast entity, it gets put into this other category. So you're not only up against other television stations, but networks and things. It's basically Christian television across the nation at all levels. And so it's quite as significant. I was somewhat surprised that we were selected because I knew some of the other applicants. And it doesn't make them less than us, it's just that they're well known. And so when I talked to a couple of people on the committee, I said, I know you can't divulge, but I'm just kind of curious, what is it about the Dove that stood out? Well, there was a couple things. One was our production crew here produced a very professional video clip to send in. You were part of that. Barry was part of that. And that one, he said, you look as good as, if not better than, some of the network people. And I said, well, thank you. And he said, well, we think it's the uniqueness of the combination of what you are doing, where we do the news, we have inspiration, we can do the heavy, we can do the light, we can do the entertainment, and then we get into the talk show part, and then we carry safe ministries throughout the day, very safe ministries, who, again, are bold in their proclamation. And so we're seen as a safe TV alternative to what's available to everybody out there, and so we're rewarded that. It's really quite an honor.
Well, and not only that, we also have shown in our application how we work outside of our immediate broadcast influence within the community and with other projects that we're involved in. And I do have a clip of the announcement being made on stage when they announced that the Dove TV is the recipient.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
All right, and our final award, the Television Station of the Year. You know, as Christian television broadcasters, we are called to advance biblical truth through the television medium. And the NRB Television Station of the Year must display innovation and creative programming through its daily schedule. Be a force for the gospel in its coverage of Christian events, issues, and those stories. Demonstrate a commitment to produce original programming to meet the spiritual needs of its viewing audiences, and work in partnership with churches and ministries to provide a media platform for voices unable to be heard elsewhere. And this year's recipient of TV Station of the Year award is theDove TV. theDove TV is a steadfast voice for biblical truth, delivering Christ-centered content that informs, inspires, and transforms lives. Through innovative programming like The Morning on the Dove and Focus Today, we address news headlines and current events with a clear biblical perspective, partnering with churches, ministries, and local organizations. They amplify voices otherwise unheard. So from breaking news to live event coverage, the Dove blends production excellence with an unwavering gospel focus, making it a trusted source of truth, hope, and spiritual encouragement for viewers across the entire United States, the Pacific Northwest, and around the world. So accepting the award for Dove TV is President and host Perry Atkinson.
An amazing honor, and you know, to be there and to receive that.
Yeah, well, and I have to say that our audience is amazing, and if it wasn't for our audience, going back to us going from radio to television and that miracle that we talk about a lot, but just supporting us through all these changes and all the new ideas you have in the shower that you then want to implement. The audience is great, and I do want to say, if you don't mind, that this is your award, and we're so grateful.
It's everybody. It's a team thing. I have to say, though, he mentioned that Lee Miller, who was the guy speaking there, a good friend of mine, one thing that we feel called to do is the Dove should not be its only platform. It should be a platform for ministries that don't have a platform. And that's why we do the appreciation lunch. That's why we just launched another show that highlights ministries. So one of our callings is to give ministries a platform to be seen and heard by other people.
Yeah. So congratulations, well done. Any last thoughts, or what did you walk away with as a someone who heads a ministry, a broadcasting ministry? What was the biggest takeaway for you as you came back?
Well, okay, I'm still processing that. There's a lot of things going on. I'm still trying to struggle with AI. In the sense, are we using it right, and what's our safeguards? Secondly, is our message clear? Third, can we produce other programs that fit within with what we're doing, you know? My biggest concern is I walked away with, what is the future of broadcasting? There's just so many changes in our industry, from television stations and radio stations to streaming to podcast, all these things, you know. Where do you put your money? Where do you put your emphasis? And so I've yet to settle on that, but I walked away with a little bit of a concern, not a little bit, a lot of concern, you know. Okay, God, what are you telling us now?
And?
I don't have the answer.
He's still talking to you and you're still listening.
Yeah, I need to spend more time in the shower, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But you know, that's what has been your message too, is to listen to God.
Yeah.
And I hope people know we're never trying to replace the church. We never try to be that voice in your head. But we are trying to provide the programming and the interviews and the content that you can hopefully benefit from. And
well, thank
like
you.
It.
For your support. Thank you for your love, your support, your finances. You made it possible. God bless you all.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help